Okay. Is it not on yet? Check now. I think it should be now. Yeah, I have started it. Sorry, we're just trying to figure out the technicalities of going live on Instagram and LinkedIn.
It's saying it's live.
Yeah, it is, isn't it? I'm just double checking. Can you see me? Yeah, I have started it. Ah, yes, we're live. That was so weird. I couldn't see myself. It's really strange when you're going live on. We're live on LinkedIn, on Facebook, and YouTube. Hi guys, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I haven't done this for a while, so we had a few technical difficulties, but we did it. We got here, and I'm so glad. If you're joining us, if you're watching it back, leave some comments. But I really wanted to do this live with Harinder because I was having an office clear out, and I came across something that was so deeply pivotal and life affirming for me a few years ago. And this woman was behind it. And I really wanted her to come on and share a little bit more about what she does, how she does it, and the magic she combs and weaves into our lives. So Harinder, why don't you briefly introduce yourself and we'll go into the Soul Plan readings.
Okay, hello. Thank you so very much for having me here. Right, I'm Harinder Ghatora. I'm a holistic life coach, therapist, and I've got a private practice in Burnham, in Buckinghamshire. I work with people from all around the world, helping them find peace and balance in their life. Yeah, and I love what I do.
I love that. And so tell me, how did you come across this modality of soul plan reading?
Okay. Well, I think a lot of people will say that stuff like this finds you and you don't go looking for it. Yeah. So I was working with this wonderful lady called Sandra Ditterham, and she had a healing practice, healing center in West Ealing. So she was my Reiki master, and I'd done quite a lot of training with her. And then one day she goes, Harinder, I've learnt this new thing called she calls it soul contract reading. Can I try it out on you? And I didn't know what it was. So I loved Sandra. So I said, yeah, of course, I'll give it a go. And boy, it just blew my mind what she told me. She gave me a whole load of stuff about my childhood, who I was as a person, stuff that I don't think anybody could ever have known about my inner world to that depth. And she gave me a whole load of information about my talents, where my life was going, who I was. And I have to be honest, there was a part of me is thinking, what the hell is she on? I mean, what? I mean, I was not this was almost 30 years ago now. So
Wow.
I'm not the woman that I am now. I felt very broken, very fragile back then. But she said that I was going to be helping people. I would be a very powerful healer. I would be holding space in groups. And I just looked at her and I thought, are you crazy? But you know what, Rupinder, somewhere deep down, there was some part of me that I don't know how to describe this, but just kind of knew. So she awakened something in me that was very latent and quiet, and set the ball rolling for this massive life transition that I then had. I was in the corporate world then, and I'm no longer doing that. And it was all down to this soul plan reading. It was incredible, it really was.
And that's so remarkable because I don't think I've ever asked you how did you get into it and what was your initial reaction, because so much of what you have said about what was your initial reaction was my initial reaction when you did my soul plan reading.
Yeah.
And so if you're not on my mailing list, if you're not following over on Instagram or TikTok, I did a mini series about how I came across Harinder. And the magic that happened, which I'll just very briefly go into. I've never really spoken about this publicly, but I've just recently started sharing it. So Harinder's name first came into my life in 2018. In 2018, I had my son in 2017. In 2018, I had postnatal depression, and I was going on these weekly walks with a dear friend of mine, Tazeen. And on these walks, we used to talk about all the different modalities that we've used and we loved and we've embraced, everything: coaching, therapy, EMDR, counseling, energy healing, crystal healing, Reiki, like everything. We talked about everything. And one day on this walk, she said to me, like, I've got to tell you this thing that I've had done. And she said, I've had a soul plan reading done. And I just remember it so vividly, because we were walking together, and before she mentioned Harinder's name, I heard the name Harinder Ghatora. And then Taz went on to say, I've had it done. And I just remember how I held her. I was like, oh my God, before you even said the name, I heard it. So I got in touch with Harinder. I made my appointment, and I remember it took a little bit of time to like get the appointment, get because you're a very busy lady. And then I walked into your practice and I sat down, and I remember it like it was yesterday, and this was February 2019. I sat down, I looked up, made eye contact with you, and I could see your aura. Wow. And that has never happened to me before, and it's very rarely happened to me since. Like, I could see.
Touched by that.
And I just remember, I remember gasping, and I remember saying to you, oh my God, I can see a rainbow. And I still remember it, Harinder, because you've done hundreds of these. Like, I'm you probably don't remember it, but I remember you saying to me, well, Rupinder, that doesn't surprise me given what I've read. And then you went into my soul plan reading. Yeah. And it was really interesting hearing you recount your experience, because I remember sitting there thinking, why is this lady making all this stuff up about, like, because taking you back to 2019, I was in my dream job. I was head of HR for a human rights charity in London. I was doing that part-time. I had a young family. I had my dream life. Everything was really going, not to say it's without challenge, because I had recovered from postnatal depression and there were still remnants of that. But the things that you were telling me, like you were saying to me, you're here to build a community, you're here to leave a legacy, you're here to speak up, you're here to do. And I just remember thinking, I was so cynical and skeptical. I was like, no, I'm not doing any of that. A, I don't want to do that, so why would I? And B, that's not what I'm a head of HR. I love what I'm doing. And this is what really triggered it. I remember going back into my soul plan reading and looking through that document just the other week. Everything you said, everything came true. Everything. And for me, there's this thing about how even when you're a cynic or skeptical, even when you don't believe it, or you don't want to believe it, or you can't see it, or you don't want it. Like in 2019, I was like, I don't want it. I don't want to lead a community. I don't want to speak on stages. I don't want to be visible. I'm really happy doing what I'm doing. And this is the point. When your soul is here to do a job, and you are being told through the reading, this is what you're here to do, nothing can defy it. Like, it's going to happen. It's going to unfold. And for me, I think I've just found so much comfort in it, going back to it being like, this is what I'm here to do. So that was my experience of working with you and having that soul plan reading. But what would you say to anyone that is feeling really skeptical or cynical, or just like, I don't get how this works? How can you, based on this methodology, how can you tell me this? Like, what would you say to them?
Okay, so firstly, I would applaud your skepticism. It's very good to have a skeptical mind, otherwise you can be led down all sorts of difficult and dangerous paths. But I suppose I want to reassure people that, look, I'm not sitting here as some sort of psychic that can tune into your soul. Soul plan readings are based on a very grounded, ancient science that had just got lost down the ages and is just kind of now re-emerging back out to help people find peace and balance and understand their lives better. It's based on a system of numerology. It's very practical. It's very down to earth. And it's not like an astrology reading where I'm just going to give you some information and then you're sort of sitting with it thinking, well, what am I supposed to do with this now? It's very much a kind of progressive, it's like you're having your own spiritual sat-nav to help you get through life.
I love that.
And it helps you to, like the river is flowing in a certain direction. We can spend quite a lot of time, energy flowing upstream when we know that if it's flowing in that direction, that's where my life's trying to take me. If a lot of people get stuck and are struggling purely because they're not in alignment with what their soul wanted them to be doing in this particular lifetime. And I've done, 435? I looked it up this morning of these readings. Not a single person has walked away thinking, that was a load of bullshit. It doesn't make any sense to me. It's just all, it's your life. You will hear it in the words. You will experience it. You will know it because that's what you're doing. And then there's a bit at the end where you're going to get signposted to something. It's not by chance that people come and have a soul plan reading. It truly is the soul saying, okay, now it's time. It's time to wake up. It's time to get in alignment with what you're truly here to do. And you and I both know, Rupinder, that if you're in alignment, the joy and the peace and the abundance and everything else that's in alignment with these highest parts of our being just flood into your life because you're doing what you're meant to be doing, where you're meant to be doing it.
Yeah, and I think that's so true. And when I think back to any resistance I might have had to stepping forward, to being more visible, to setting up a community and having to role model the things that I talk about in that community around visibility, around self-advocacy and self-agency, I always knew it. Like I always knew it was there, and it was, so even when I think back, I think it was so much fear that was holding me back from stepping forward, and fear for all the reasons that I've spoken about before. And you know, the fear of rejection, the fear of failure, the fear of being seen to be trying. But I love what you said about the upstream and the downstream, and like whenever there's resistance to what it is that we're here to do, we feel that resistance, we feel that conflict, we feel that turmoil. And that's very different to some of the other fear and turmoil that comes up when you're not being in alignment, when you're not, I think our souls have a way of expressing that, of this isn't what I'm here to do. And it's just so interesting to me because when I see and think about all the things that I've done now, and even when there have been challenges, like none of it has been particularly easy or without challenge, but every time there's been an obstacle, something has come up that's just enabled me to either go around it, up it, through it, under it, or people have come up. And I think that's the magic of when you are in alignment with what you're meant to do.
Absolutely, because in the whole universe is conspiring with you when you're in alignment with your soul plan, because the universe wants you to be doing what it is that you signed up to do. It just makes life so much easier. You're right, it doesn't take away that anger. And I was really anxious today. This is the first time I've done anything like this.
Yay! Look at you, you're doing beautifully.
I'm here, I showed up, and it's because, I don't know, at some deep level, you know that this is what I'm meant to be doing. Yeah.
And what are some of the, so you said that you've done 435 readings. What are some of the most common patterns or blocks that you see coming up with people and in their soul plans?
There are some themes that come up quite a lot because it's only very kind of evolved souls that truly want to figure out what are they really doing here. So the themes that come up are themes around power, so disempowerment, so how you can stand in your power and express that power in service out in the world. So here, that a good example there would be somebody who's in their younger life been very disempowered, maybe by parents or siblings, gone to school and been bullied, gone to work and been disempowered and bullied. And what that soul is here to learn is to stand in their own power, to learn to say no, to put up boundaries, to stop letting people take their power away. And then when they've gathered all their power, then to use that power with great integrity out in the world to be of service. Other common themes are people are here to learn to speak up and speak their truth. I've written a whole book about that. That is a very common theme, where people come in quite meek, quite mild, quite timid, very quiet, fearful, and their souls are here to learn to find courage and to speak up and to get in alignment with their kind of mind truth and their heart truth, and to live in an integrated way. Some people are here to understand that they're sensitives and they need to use their empathy for service, for helping others. Some are here to learn to balance their relationships. Some are here to learn to be more giving. Some are here to learn to be not so sacrificing of themselves. There's all sorts of programs that people are here to work through. And the negative context of your life is never, a lot of people go through life thinking, this is just bad karma, or I've done something and I shouldn't have done. In this soul plan philosophy, negative things in your life are there as a learning environment to encourage you to grow and move to the next higher level of your being. So that in itself is incredibly empowering, and you will get all that information in your reading about what are you here to learn to do, and why these patterns keep repeating, because they will keep coming round until you've figured it out. So look, think about it. You can learn it in a year, whatever it is. I did a soul plan for an 18-year-old the other day. She set herself up for life because she knows that whenever these difficulties hit, she knows exactly how to respond. They all disappear quite quickly. Or you could spend 7 decades sitting in the disempowerment, getting messed around, abused, bullied, the whole lot again and again and again, because this will not go away until you've done what you're meant to be doing.
Yeah, that was going to be my question, and I think you've answered it in terms of, can a soul plan reading explain why there are reoccurring challenges or experiences that keep coming up?
Yes, absolutely. That's probably the biggest takeaway from soul plan reading, the look of relief. And people are often moved to tears about understanding that you haven't done anything wrong. You're not in some sort of state of punishment by the universe. This is just a learning environment that you're meant to grow through. And as I said, it will keep coming back again and again until you understand why. And your soul plan will give you the why. Why is this thing keep happening to me again and again? Everywhere I look, people disempower me, or people shut me down, or people don't respect my boundaries. Because underneath there's a learning, and that's the biggest thing that I find makes the difference in people's lives. When you understand the why and get given all the tools on how to work through that difficulty, you very quickly come out into a place of ease and grace and peace.
And I love that you said that you had an 18-year-old come to you. Like, what do you think is what's the youngest age that you think someone could have this, and for them to really make sense of it?
Yeah, I think my youngest has been 17-year-old. Incredible. I meet some incredibly spiritually evolved people. I'm in awe of some of these souls that make their way into my practice. Obviously, I'm going to be honest and say if a 17-year-old, when he came to see me, I wasn't going to point out all the negativities that were maybe going to be heading into his life, but I did empower him with some really deep knowledge about, this is what you're here to learn. So when those things do show up, he's very clear. So you can do this at any age. I probably think 17, 18 is probably the youngest. But loads of parents come because they want to consciously parent. Have you got a dragon on your hands who needs to be treated with respect? Have you got a very sensitive butterfly on your hands? Do you need to treat that soul with different? So if you've got 2 kids, you're going to have 2 different types of souls, and they may need different types of parenting. Some kids need more boundaries, some need more gentleness. So any age is good.
Yeah, and I think what you've said there as well about because they through the reading there can be some big stuff and you as the practitioner and someone who has the wisdom, the experience, can navigate in terms of what is there to be shared and how it does that need to be shared, and that discernment between what's going to add value and what can I share here is, I think, is really, really key as well. And I think particularly if this is something that I'm recommending it, if other people are recommending it and suggesting it, then we need to know that we're sending people to someone that we trust and that we know is going to has that maturity and the balance and the experience of knowing what and how to share it.
Yeah, absolutely. And look, I'm a qualified therapist. I'm in the game of helping people find peace and balance. I never have ever filled anybody with fear. There's nothing to fear anyway. It's all very empowering. There's nothing that anybody's going to come and see on their soul plan which is going to fill them with dread or fear, because there's always a higher purpose. And quite frankly, Rupinder, nobody ever hears anything that they don't already know. It's almost like I'm putting words to a real deep knowing that's already sitting at the heart of that person. So with the very young people, obviously, I'm not going to say, right, in your 30s, in your 40s, these problems are going to start showing up because you're meant to learn this. It'll be packaged up in a very safe, empowered way. Yeah.
And what really strikes me about the soul plan reading and working with you is how once you have this knowledge and once you have this, and that's not to say you're going to act upon it immediately. So, I had my reading in 2019, in February 2019, and it wasn't until the end of that year, and it wasn't until February 2020, I actually left my head of HR role. And that was because there was this natural unfolding of events where I was putting workshops on and the workshops would sell out. I was then, following that up with a coaching program, and the coaching programs would sell out. And then what I found as I was navigating that year was that I had to make a decision. Like, I had to make a decision because I had this dream job, I had a young family, and then this side hustle of mine, which I thought was going to be just very complementary to what I'm doing, actually exploded and had the potential to become even bigger and even more, by whatever measure of success is, whether that's financial success, whether that's impact, whether that's the fact that women were coming back to me and saying, we came to your workshop and I did this, this and this, and then their families, their husbands were coming to me and or messaging me saying, Rupinder, this is a difference we've seen, and the ripple impact of that, which for me is far more important than the financial success, but it all goes hand in hand, which meant that I got to the end of that year. So I got to December 2019 and I handed in my notice, and I had a 2-month notice period, which is I left my job in the February of 2020. And we all know what happened in the March of 2020. And I remember like lamenting and really kicking myself and really being in a place of a little bit of distrust, in that my intuition was so powerfully telling me now's the time to leave. I'd had this, soul plan reading done nearly a year before, which was telling me all of this stuff. I made the leap, and then events outside of me that I couldn't control meant that, we went into lockdown, meant that the work that I had booked and had thought was coming through all got cancelled. It left me in a place of just real uncertainty. But the magic that unfolded after that, I just can't even put into words. Like, what happened since I launched, I launched the membership. That was the seed that went on to power all the adventure trips that I've done, all the other programs that we've done, like everything. It's been so incredible. And I think that's the key, isn't it, though? The key I was thinking was that the soul plan reading foresaw all of that and was the anchor and almost a shortcut. It was a shortcut to be that reminder of, no, this is what I'm here to do. So just need to hold firm in that belief.
That's it. That it does absolutely do that, because it was, how I would package up your journey, was the depression was the thing that led you to seeking out some support. This is always the case. It's always some difficulty that someone's experiencing at some level of their life that would make them reach out and be open enough. There's the dark night of the soul, there's the awakening, and the soul plan comes in exactly at the point at which your soul thinks, okay, it's time now. And then it gives you the map. So maybe there might have been a little bit more resistance had you not known that this is where, so that those seeds have been planted inside your head, and then life will start orchestrating itself to get you to walk through your soul plan. And now there's less resistance because somebody told you that this is what you're meant to be doing. And so the whole process just goes through with a great more ease than maybe it would have had you not had your soul plan reading. It was going to happen anyway. You know, it wasn't the reading that did it. The reading just sort of prepped you up for, this is the signposted you down, that's your path, Harinder. And then when those things started showing up, you didn't doubt, or you didn't resist, or you didn't kind of drag your feet. You just thought, oh yeah, maybe I'm supposed to be doing this, and then you've done it. You can't fail. You can't fail. Mm.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely true. It was the I think this is what we're saying, is that we're always going to get to the destination because you figure it out. But then when you have a map that kind of reassures you and says, these are some of the milestones that you're going to hit, this is where you're going. Life is always much easier when we have that map. And that's how I have used my soul plan reading, and the way it's navigated and taken me through that terrain.
Brilliant. That's exactly how it should be used. You know, it's not prophetic. It's not nobody's going to walk away with, oh, this is going to happen, that's going to happen, that's going to happen. The themes are very broad, and you can position yourself anywhere. I mean, look, the kind of stuff I told you about, the groups, the public speaking, the legacy, that could mean anything. You could have chosen any path to walk down. The end of it was that you were supposed to be providing some service and helping and supporting other people to raise and elevate them to a higher level of living and being. Yeah,
I love that. So Harinder, if people want to get in touch with you, if they're curious, if they want to, what's the best way for them to contact you?
Okay, so through my website, Instagram, just Harinder Ghatora. That's probably a good way to get through to me very quickly. Sign up to my newsletter on the home page of my website. You get 5 really powerful spiritual tools, absolutely free of charge, when you sign up to the newsletter, and a very grounded weekly Sunday morning message that gives you practical tools to live a peaceful, empowered, calm life.
And and one of the messages I've just had through is, do they have to be in the UK to have a reading?
No, not at all. You can be anywhere in the world. The readings are done over Zoom, because now I take a recording. I know when you had yours, it was in person, but it's all changed now with the tech. So I can see anybody anywhere around the world, as long as you've got access to Zoom.
Wonderful. That's brilliant. And I think that's the thing that technology and in a post-pandemic life, which has meant that the world has become so much more smaller, and we get to have all the benefits of all these incredible services. Well done, and thank you for joining me, Harinder, today, because I know this is the first time you've come on to a LinkedIn live. But yeah, and by the way, I'm trying to get Harinder onto LinkedIn, so that's going to be my mission for the next few weeks. But until then, connect with. I've left her her Instagram page. Go and connect with her on Instagram, on her website. Go and sign up to the mailing list. Get the freebies. Get a feel for her. I'm really thoughtful and considered in terms of what I endorse, and I think it's really, you have to be, don't you? You have to be really careful about what you put your name to, and I guess that in some ways I've probably, which is quite unusual for me, I've been a little bit gatekeeping this, in that it was something that felt so deeply personal and sacred. And I think some of the experiences that I had that led up to that reading, that I only ever really shared with people that I was close to, or women have been in my membership. I've never really, I never came out and said, oh, I experienced audio clairvoyance. Oh, I saw her aura. Oh, I had this reading, that, and this is how it unfolded. But as I said, when I was doing my decluttering in the office, and I came across the document, and it just took me back to that moment in time. And then, you know, when you're at that moment and you play your life back like a movie scene, I was like, holy moly, like everything she said, even when I didn't see it and I didn't want it and I didn't realize this is where I was going, all of it has come to pass. And I feel like if that's something that might help anyone else, whatever point you're in whatever conjecture you're in your life, I just wanted to make sure that you knew about this modality and the person that I worked with to help bring it into fruition for me, which is this remarkable woman here, Harinder Ghatora. So go and look her up and go and connect with her. And if you do it, come back. If you feel comfortable, please message me, because I love hearing about other people's experiences now. Harinder, is there anything else you'd like to say before we end?
No, I just, maybe I would say that, look, it's our birthright to be happy, to be healthy, to be creative, these are all quality states of being that are in alignment with the highest parts of our being. And that's the thing that gives me the most joy, is that soul plan readings help people get closer to those states of being. And you've got nothing to lose and everything to gain, and it's perfectly safe, I can assure you.
I love that. And we have to end on that, because that was beautiful. So until next time, thank you so much. And join us next time we go live on LinkedIn. Bye for now.
Thank you, Harinder. Bye-bye.